Hey guys, this is Alan from Team TKR, bringing you match number 3. We got a request for this one. This one's going to be the End versus the Blood. I'm playing the End in this one, and my friend Chris Todd is going to be playing the Blood. I know we've been on kind of a hiatus lately. I was out of town for a little while, and my friends were all busy, and we didn't really have time to sit down and record any matches, and sorry about that. But I got back, and my friends took care of their things, so now we finally have some time to record some matches, and here it is. This is the one that we decided to do. Oh, also, if you have any matches that you would like to see, feel free to leave a comment below, and we'll get to it eventually. So nothing happens during grade 1. Usually grade 1 it's pretty slow, so didn't really miss anything. Let's just go right into what's happening right there. Chris Todd uses his Spark Kid Dragoon, and he looks at top 5, and he's able to add the Blood to his hand, which at this point I'm just assuming that he has cross ride. He attacks me, and I drop 10k for no pass because I don't want to unflip. I don't want him to unflip the damage, and Conroe, I don't really need to use him early on, because I don't really need a booster yet. And getting a perfect guard when I'm at 0 damage is really pointless. So I check, and I get at the end. I already have a Dragonic Overlord in my hand, so now I have cross ride. And Chris rides Vermilion, so since he checked into the Blood earlier, I know he has cross ride, and he just checked into the Blood right there. He attacks me, and I no guard, and he gets a heal trigger, which is fine. That's fine. So I ride Dragonic Overlord, and I'm thinking about using Conroe's effect right here. But once again, I realized I don't really need a booster or a perfect guard at this point because I have a bar in my hand. So I just simply attack with my Dragonic Overlord. I check into a heal trigger. That's nice. I'm now at 0 damage. And I put power on my rear guard. Chris doesn't damage a trigger. So with my Burning Horn, I attack his Vermilion for 25. And he doesn't guard. So now I'm in a really strong position. Chris is at 3 damage, and I'm at 0. And Chris rides the Blood here. He actually cross rides, which was kind of interesting because he's only at 3 damage, and when you cross ride this early, because Vermilion's limit break can only be used when he's at 5 damage, he's kind of a vanilla right now, and I don't really have anything to be scared of. But he does it anyway, and he just attacks me, and I no guard because I'm planning to take both the rear guard attacks right here because I want 2 damage for a Persona Blast. But he gets a critical instead, and that's fine because now I can just guard the other rear guard attack. But he decides to attack my Burning Horn instead of my Vanguard, which is fine, honestly. Right? Yes, he does, which is fine. So now I stand and I draw. I cross ride the End, and I do have the End in my hand. I do have Persona Blast. I call Garp, and 18 is all you need to hit cross ride. Chris no guards the End attack, knowing that I have another copy of the End in my hand. But Chris doesn't want to drop 15k every turn just because he's scared of my effect. So he takes it, makes me waste it, and so now I get to attack him again, and Chris no guards. Unfortunately, I do hit a crit trigger, so I end the game right here. So that was a really quick game number 1. So for game number 2, Chris goes first. He rides a perfect guard for his grade 1, which is the only one he has. That kind of sucks, but that's fine at the same time because early on, perfect guards really hurt your hand. Perfect guards are they really shine during the late game. So Chris rides his grade 2. He rides a Dragoon, and he uses his grade 0's effect again, and looks at top 5. And since Chris didn't even bother looking, since he didn't even bother to look at the full top 5 cards, I already know he has cross ride, like for sure, 100% sure, because he just instantly added the Blood into his hand. Attacks my Vanguard with his Dragoon, and I no guard. Chris doesn't get anything, so that's fine. So now I stand and draw, and I ride Nahalem as my Vanguard. Once again, I don't need to use Conroe. It's kind of early. I don't need it for anything, but I do have a bunch of grade 2s in my hand, so I just play them all and then I attack him. And Chris guards, which is fine, and I attack his Vanguard. I put him at 3 damage. So he's still short 1 damage for Limit Break for his Vermilion. And I was right, he did indeed have a Vermilion in his hand. So since he's short 1 damage, he can't Limit Break me. So all of my rear guards right now are safe. Chris is thinking about what to do right here. He's not sure what to play as an attacker, which is fine. He just called, so he has a spare Vermilion in his hand, so he just calls it to the rear guard as an attacker. He attacks my Vanguard and I no guard. Chris hits a heal trigger and I hit a trigger as well, so we're both at 2 damage. So next turn if I heal, my heal trigger won't go to waste. He attacks my Vanguard for 16 and I take it. So that means so I'm at higher damage right now and I heal block Chris. So if Chris damages a heal trigger right here, he won't be able to use it. Or at least that's my mentality behind it. So I attack his Vanguard. He's not cross-ride yet, so 16 is the only number I need to hit. I check into the end, so now I have cross-ride. And he puts a power on his rear guard Vermilion. So regardless, I still attack his rear guard Vermilion because he's at 3 damage and he can Limit Break me and attack all my rear guards. So Chris wants to cross-ride right here, but he does a good play and he holds off on it because he doesn't need to cross-ride yet. Still too early on, so he just calls a bunch of his rear guards. He calls a Dragoon and another copy of the Blood, and he just attacks my Vanguard, which is a really solid play. He attacks my guard with his rear guard first because his Dragoon can't attack anything else, and I let him die. It's fine. And he attacks my Vanguard for 11 and I drop 10k for 2 triggers. He doesn't get any trigger, but he attacks my Vanguard. And that's fine. I take it, stand. I'm at 4 now, and Chris is at 3, and I cross-ride. So with a Conroe boost, my the end hits 18, which is all I need against the Blood, or against any cross-ride. 18 is the only number you need to hit. So I just attack. I'm trying to bluff the end right here, forcing him to guard, but Chris no guards it to test the waters, I guess you could say. And unfortunately, I get a crit, but he gets a double power. And he gets, when one of them's a draw trigger. So he splits the power. He puts 1 on his rear guard, 1 on his Vanguard. And I attack his Vanguard anyways with the Salamander. Which, since you nullify both powers, it's enough. He has to drop 10k for the guard. So Chris, now he cross-rides. But he doesn't use it ultimate break yet because he's holding on. He's holding on to it because I asked him later and he pretty much said that my field wasn't full yet and using the Blood's ultimate break at this point would be kind of a waste. He wouldn't be getting the maximum effect of the Thunderbolt, which is fair. That's a very true statement. So I understood where he was coming from, and he just attacks me and I drop 10k for 2 triggers. He attacks my Vanguard and I take it. I hit a draw trigger. Nice little pickup, honestly. That was pretty good. And now he attacks my Vanguard again, and I believe I dropped 5k. I only need 5 to guard. And I intercept. Yeah, that's right, I intercepted. Because now that he's cross-ride, Nahalem with a 6k booster isn't going to do anything. And this is what I mean. Like, now I use Conroe because I don't have any boosters for my rear guards. I have a Dragonic Overlord in my hand, so I just use Conroe's effect. And I add a bar to my hand. So I play that bar behind my Dragonic Overlord rear guard that I'm going to play in a moment. So that hits 19. And I already have another booster in my hand. So any booster I have at this point with the end will hit 18, or will hit above 18. So that's fine. So I just attack now that I've set up my field, and since Chris has to guard, he has to, and Chris, since he's only at 5 damage, has to guard everything. There you go. Chris drops 15 for 2 triggers. I don't get anything, which is fine. That's fine. I'm still waiting for him to waste his Thunderbolt, or not waste it, but use it, so that I can play my attackers and you know, force more out of his hand. Because at this point, I don't. I can handle the Thunderbolt, but I can't handle all of my rear guards being attacked at once, because then I would lose too many cards. So I simply just hold off and wait. Chris is still really hesitant about using his Thunderbolt because my field isn't full, and Chris doesn't have a booster either, so he's not really forcing that much out of my hand. But now he plays a booster, so he attacks my Vanguard for 19, and I have to drop 15 for 2 triggers. So I drop 15, and Chris doesn't hit any triggers. He checks into double Dragoon. So at this point, I believe Chris doesn't have that much left in his hand. He has a bunch of 5k shields right here, and so I just attack him, and I don't really need to do anything else. His hand size is really small, and I know a bunch of them are 5k shields. So I attack his Vanguard, and Chris still has a perfect guard though, so he just perfect guards my Vanguard, and he dishes a grade 3 which has no shield value, and that's fine. I hit a critical trigger and a perfect guard, and I put everything on my rear guard Overlord, and I attack his Vanguard. So now I'm hitting his Vanguard for 24 with critical, and he drops 3 5k shields. So I'm in a really good position right now, and I've pretty much forced Chris's hand where now he has to Thunderbolt me for something. But I just checked into a perfect guard, so I'm completely safe. So now he uses his limit break, and he attacks. And I perfect guard my Vanguard. And I let my rear guard Dragonic Overlord die. But luck would have it that Chris would hit a heal trigger right here, which completely set me back, because if he takes one more damage, now Chris can use his ultimate break one more time. And I can't handle that. So he attacks me, and I guard everything, and right now the only way I can get out of this is a critical trigger. So I stand and I draw, and I drew another copy of the end, and earlier I used the 3 counterblast for my Dragonic Overlord rearguard effect, because he was at 5 damage, so he wasn't gonna let me hit him anyways. And Chris drops 10k for 1 trigger here, and unfortunately I hit the trigger. But if I hit the trigger, if my Vanguard hits, Chris is going to be at 5 damage. I need a critical trigger, so I put the power on my rear guard instead, and hope for a crit on the second check. So right here, I'm completely stunned by Vermilion's limit break effect. So even though I got a trigger, I have to attack a rear guard. I can't attack his Vanguard, because then he'll just ultimate break me again, and I honestly can't handle that. Yes, I believe I'm at 4 damage at this point, but Vermilion's limit break gives him 5,000 power and +1 critical, so the only way I would get out of that is if I healed at 6. So anyways, I'm done attacking, and I pass turn over to Chris. Chris isn't sure what he wants to do, since I just attacked his Interceptor. But he has another attacker in his hand, so his whole field hits above 18. So he attacks my Vanguard. There's really not much he can do left for his field. He just plays a card, and I no guard. I risk him getting a crit because I'm at 4 damage, and I take it. He doesn't get a crit, that's fine, but I don't get a power on the damage check. So now I need to drop 10k for his Vermilion rearguard, and 15k for the Blood rearguard, because Chris put power on the Blood rearguard. So I use up my whole hand, and this is it. I play my Burning Horn in front of my 6k booster, so that hits 18, and attack his Vanguard. Once again, I need a critical trigger. Chris drops for 2 triggers, and unfortunately I don't hit anything. I just hit a bunch of 5k shields, which at this point isn't good for me. So I just attack all of his rearguards. Regardless, Chris had enough to guard anyways. so it didn't matter. So he lets all of his rear guards die, and he goes for turn. And he has plenty of rear guards left to attack me with. So things are looking pretty grim for me right now. And Chris is deciding what he wants to play, because he does have a few options in his hand, despite his small hand size. And he retires his 7k booster and plays another one of the same kind, so now my Burning Horn Dragon can't intercept. Plays another Vermilion rearguard, and plays a Dusty Plasma Dragon on the side. I clearly don't have enough in my hand, and I no guard, and unfortunately he gets a critical trigger, and game 2 goes to Chris. So now it's game 3, and I ride grade 1, standard opening. I ride a bar. He attacks me and I no guard. I take a damage. I damage Berserk Dragon, which is fine. And I ride for grade 2. I think it's called Bellicosity Dragon. I'm not 100% sure. But what he does is if he hits the Vanguard, I unflip a damage. Once again, I don't need to use Conroe super early on. But I do hit a critical trigger, so that's nice for me. So that's now Chris is at 2 damage, and I'm at 1 damage. And now Chris uses his grade 0's effect and looks at top 5 and adds the blood to his hand. Since he didn't even bother looking at top 5 again and he just instantly adds the blood, I'm 100% sure he has cross ride right here. So he just attacks me with his Dragoon and I no guard. And unfortunately he gets a critical trigger. And I hit a heal trigger, but since I hit him with a critical trigger earlier, sadly I don't get to heal, and now I stay at 3 damage, which really sucks. I don't have cross ride this game, so I just ride the end. And I make a mistake here, which kind of ended up being really bad for me. I used Conroe's effect too early. I mean, looking at this replay, I realized this. But, I make mistakes as well. It's casual play. It's fine in casual play. But during tournament play, I should be more careful. And rewatching this replay, I learned something. So, there's that. And especially since I used Conroe and I already had a bar in my hand. So, either way, my Vanguard was going to be able to hit cross ride. But I was so preoccupied with cross ride, or I was so focused on it, and I completely forgot. It's just like, Conroe would have been fine for the next 2 turns or so, but that's just me. Like, I completely jumped the gun right there. So anyways, Chris rides Vermilion, and he plays a rearguard. He plays a Dusty Plasma and he plays another Vermilion from his hand. He has grade 3 attackers, which is fine. And Dusty Plasma Dragon gains 3k. He's a 9k grade 2, but he gains 3k if there's a Vermilion in the Vanguard. So he can hit my 11k Vanguard without any booster. Chris hits a draw trigger on his drive check and attacks my Vanguard, and I damage the draw trigger. So I'm at 4 damage, and Chris is at 4 damage right here as well. But Chris had his limit break earlier, but since I didn't have any rear guards on the field, using it was kind of pointless. So he's done and he passes turn to me. I play 2 rear guards and I play a rear guard and a booster, and I just attack his Vanguard. Chris is scared of the critical, so he perfect guards my Vanguard attack, which is fine. I hit a draw trigger, and I put power on his Burning Horn. Now I know he has cross ride, so I'm thinking about what to attack. I'm not 100% sure, so I think I just say screw it and I attack his Vanguard. Oh, no, my bad. I attack his rearguard instead, because I'm scared of his ultimate break. That's right, because at this point, I don't have anything. I can't handle the ultimate break, because I don't have a perfect guard in my hand. So he cross-rides the blood, but Chris was already prepared for this, and he has a Ginkaku in his hand. I believe that's what it's called. It's the grade 1 where if you counterblast 1, you can take the top card and give yourself a damage, and at the end of the turn you send it back. So he plays that, and he puts himself at 5 damage, which lets him get his ultimate break. He, unfortunately, the top card that he flipped over was a critical trigger, but that's fine. He can send it back later if he wants. He attacks my Vanguard and I take it. I was fortunate enough to get a power, so I put that on my Vanguard, so that alleviates some of the pressure from Chris's Thunderbolt, but I still wasn't ready for it and I still didn't want to take it. So he attacked me and I dropped 20k for 2 triggers. It would have been 25 if I didn't damage that critical trigger. So that helped a lot. So he attacks me with his dragon, and I need 5k to guard because I got a power on my damage zone. So now it's my turn. Oh, yes, Chris gets to send back 1 damage first. So Chris is now at 4 and now I'm at 5. I stand and I counterblast. I use Chimnara's skill to get rid of his booster. And I just call my rear guard to attack him. I don't have much in my hand. My hand is somewhat scarce right now. It's decently sized, but oh well. I use Counterblast 3 to use Overlord's effect to try to force something out of his hand. Chris drops 15 for 2 triggers on my Vanguard, which I don't hit any. I get 2 Chimnaras. Kinda sucks, but that's how it goes. So I use my Overlord and attack his Dusty Plasma Dragon to force something, because if he doesn't guard it, I can stand and I can attack his other rear guard. So because of that, I forced a perfect guard out of Chris's hand, which at this point, it's all about the little things, the little advantages that you can get. Chris's hand, he only has 3 cards in his hand right now, so I'm thinking I should be okay. I have roughly 6 cards in my hand, so I should be able to hold out and hopefully push for game next turn. At least that's what I'm thinking. Chris has 1 card in his hand. He plays a draw trigger as a booster, and I'm scared of a critical trigger, so I drop 15 for 2 triggers. Chris attacks, and also I'm at 5 damage as well, so if I take it, I kind of lose. He attacks me with his remaining 2 rear guards, and I drop 20k to stop both their attacks, and Chris is done, so he passes turn to me. Chris only has 3 cards in his hand. He checked into a Vermilion and a Dragoon, so I know he has like 15k shield in his hand at most. But Chris is at 4 damage, and he no guards, and I need a critical trigger right here. Unfortunately, I get a draw trigger. That's fine though, and I get a heal trigger. I hit double trigger, but I needed a critical trigger, and he damages a trigger, so that canceled all the power that I got, because I split the power. I put 5 on one, 5 on the other. I attack his Vanguard for, he needs a 10k guard. He perfect guards it, and he has exactly enough for my remaining attack. He only needed 5k, and so now I'm done attacking. I pass turn over to Chris. He attacks me for 18, and I'm thinking, man, this is gonna be hard. I could guard this, but how much would I have to lose? So I believe I still drop 15 for 2 triggers. I intercept, I believe. Yes, I do intercept. Chris drive checks, hits a heal trigger. Unbelievable. I'm just like, oh my god. I'm thinking as long as he doesn't hit a critical trigger, I'll be okay. It's a heal, and he puts it on his rear guard, and I'm like, alright, fine. And he, sadly enough, he does hit a critical trigger, so now he attacks me with that. I'm at 4 damage. He forces, I have 15k left in my hand, and he forces my whole hand to guard. And for his remainder attack, he attacks my rear guard Overlord to limit my attack power, to kind of cripple it. But I drew another copy of the end, fortunately, so now I have another attacker. And I attack his Vanguard. Chris no guards, and once again I need another critical trigger, but I get a draw trigger and a grade 3 instead. So I don't have enough to guard for next turn. So once again I'm hoping for heal trigger, but I'm gonna tell you now, I don't get it. Both games were really, really good, and unfortunately for me, I still lose, and that's game 3. So comment, rate, subscribe, and let us know what you thought of the match, if there's anything I could do to improve my commentary. So until next time, later guys.